And for the latest on stage 3 load shedding, we're now joined by energy expert Ruse Moleshe, and she joins us now via our video link. Ruse, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. I mean, just in the past 4 weeks, we've at least seen 3 bouts of load shedding. What do you make about the latest bout that we are experiencing right now?
Good evening to you, Mali, as well as the viewers. What we make of this latest bout is that it seems that, I don't know if it's complacency or what is going on within Eskom, because the minister seems to be hinting at that. But the biggest challenge is that the plants that are out for maintenance take a long time to be brought back, longer than planned.
And in particular, when you talk about, some of these plants, looking at Kuberg, I mean, it was off for a while. It was brought back again online on Wednesday. I mean, then why are we seeing this latest bout of load shedding?
So when we have load shedding, we typically have the demand outstripping supply. So meaning that there's a lot of plants that are out. So you will recall that in summer, typically Eskom does maintenance. So most of the plants are out for maintenance. And then there's also those that are out because of breakdowns. So a significant amount of capacity or on the supply side is out. So if anything goes wrong with respect to any of the plants that remain, it's a risk to load shedding, a risk that demand can outstrip supply, given how little we have in terms of reserves.
And Ruse, I mean, when it comes to looking at that press briefing that was held by the minister earlier on, we are talking about technical issues here that did take place. But at the same time, he also cited issues around that maybe it's not really per se technical issues, but more of human performance. I mean, what do you think is at the center of some of the human performance he has attributed this to?
Well, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. However, we know that Eskom has introduced incentives for power stations that perform very well, and equally so, they've introduced disincentives. So it looks like they want to be closer to understanding from the performance of the people, I think mainly because the plants, when they are scheduled to come back, they take far longer than they are supposed to be. And from recognizing that in the past, there's been good performance. So that means that there is capacity within Eskom to be able to do what is required. So I suppose that is what he's hinting at.
And he will be visiting a number of these power stations in the coming weeks. And at the same time, one would say that it seems as if he will be having some difficult conversations with some of the technicians working at the Eskom plants.
Well, probably it's maybe he wants to put pressure on that, but obviously it is the responsibility of the management within those power stations, as well as the head of generation, to look at what is happening, reporting to the board, and then ultimately the board reporting to the minister. So maybe the minister just wants to have a general discussion, because in terms of governance, those power plants don't, station managers don't report directly to the minister.
And we also know that, I mean, he says that, this latest load shedding that we are seeing right now is unacceptable, especially, 3 bouts of load shedding in the past 4 weeks, when we've gone on for more than 300 days without load shedding. And, do you think that there will be some sort of consequences, particularly now that he wants to go back on the ground and understand really what is behind this latest load shedding?
Yes, the board chairperson hinted at the fact that one of the committees within the board will have engagements directly with the power station managers to be able to get to the bottom of it. So it looks like they want to provide the support that they provided at the time when things went wrong, but they also would like to make sure that there's accountability from the power station managers in terms of performance.
Let's also then talk about, the latest reports we are also getting from the police in Pretoria when it comes to, those transformers in which were found that belong to Eskom. They are worth 1.7 million rand. And when you look at efforts of Eskom trying, to stabilize the grid, and, we see such taking place in our communities where transformers are illegally connected. What does that do to Eskom's efforts?
So Eskom is on its on its way, or trying to get on a path where it becomes a sustainable entity that can provide electricity in a way that is secure. So when it comes to transformers being stolen, that's where the customers are. On the other side of the transformer is where the customer is. So if there is now electricity that's being stolen, that talks to the sustainability of Eskom, it impacts eventually on the tariffs that we all pay. It impacts on the economy, and obviously when some of the customers consumption is reduced, that is because that the capacity of the infrastructure is affected. So it has a very negative impact on the economy.
At the same time, Ruse, we also know that South Africa will be hosting the G20 summit this year. There are also meetings taking place throughout the year before the actual summit takes place in November. Surely, with this big task, there is a lot of pressure on government to make sure that they can keep the lights on.
Yes, there's pressure generally because consumers are expecting that, especially now that it has been demonstrated for a significant period of time, that Eskom can be on top of issues. There's an expectation that generally in the economy. And also, as you point out, obviously an important event like the G20, no one wants to present themselves to visitors as in the worst case scenario. So it is also important. As much as it's important for the economy, it's also important for South Africa to demonstrate that we're a stable infrastructure, that we can supply the economy and be able to provide secure electricity.
Ruse, thank you so much for your time this evening. That is Ruse Moleshe, an energy expert there, talking to us about the stage 3 load shedding that we are currently experiencing. Of course, this kicking in on Friday. It is expected to last until Monday morning.